What was the incident at your school? Easter egg hunt, in 1998. I think 5 people were injured. One had to be taken by helicopter to the hospital. I was never really sure of the specifics, but apparently some of the parents were trying to cheat and find eggs for their kids, instead of letting the kids do it themselves. This led to arguments and things got out of hand. Fortunately, no one died. And the school didn't ban Easter egg hunts. It just banned parents from it. The Great Easter Egg Hunt of '98. In class, someone asks me, "Did you hear about the bombs going off in school today?" No, moron, there aren't bombs going off in our school. As I say this, over the intercom we hear, "Please evacuate the school immediately and avoid all trash cans during your exit." Some seniors had put dry ice bombs in the big metal trash cans. We come out to police, fire trucks and bomb squads pulling up. One bomb goes off and the trash can shoots 20 feet in air. No one was injured. The seniors didn't get to participate in graduation. Some of these are pretty tame compared to what I've been reading, but here we go. Senior prank 2009, 4 boys, all teachers' kids, cut down all the trees next to the high school. They didn't cut them all the way down, though. They pretty much just cut them in half. Cameras caught everything. They ended up being arrested, suspended, and unable to participate in graduation. A girl got arrested in the middle of my senior history class for selling weed. Apparently, she dealt out of the handicap stall in one of the girls' bathrooms and hid her stash in the ceiling tiles. 2 pregnant girls, both probably around 7 to 8 months along at that point, found out they had the same baby daddy and duked it out in the hallway during passing period. My freshman year, a coach got a student pregnant. He was fired. My senior year, he was hired back because our football team needed him. Edit, not sure how I forgot this one. A guy in my class had severe anger issues. We were pretty sure he was beating his girlfriend. Anyway, she broke up with him. Used to see him crying in class and in the hallways a lot, but no issues other than that to my knowledge. Then, she got a new boyfriend. One of his close football buddies. He lost his shit. Upon finding out, he immediately went to the class they were both in and tried to open the door, only to find that it was locked. So he punched through the security glass. His hand was cut up and bloody, but he still managed to open the door. Due to the quick thinking of the teacher, and his apparent sudden realization that he had royally fucked up, he stopped his rage and the administrators and police officers were there before he could hurt anyone. We still aren't really sure what his intentions were, but he was suspended and had to do court-mandated anger management classes. Sophomore year, this tall, really strung-out kid who I can best describe as a hybrid between a glam rocker and an emo kid was accused of getting into the locked bathrooms by the trophy case and finger painting with poop in said bathroom. Rumors also spread that he got the trophy case. People took pictures on their phones. Junior year, we kept having brush fires due to Florida being in a perpetual drought. People claim they found used condoms and chocolate sauce on the baseball diamond, which was one of the evacuation areas. There was also the gang of freshman girls who were lighting trash cans on fire with those sparkler birthday candles, causing mass hysteria and interrupting one of my classes when they lit up one of the trash cans in our hallway. Finally, there was the bomb threat where a crane got hit by a school bus in front of at least 1,000 students while we were evacuating. The video spread like wildfire and the bomb threat was a senior prank. 2 of my high school teachers told me these 2 stories. My English teacher told me that some years before I was in her class she had this one kid who was tall and kinda big, but he was quiet and never caused any trouble and did his work for the most part. Well, one day he comes in with his hand wrapped in bandages and when asked what happened he gave a non-committal answer. Flash forward a couple of weeks and the kid hasn't been in class for about 2 weeks and she asks the class where he is. All the kids get quiet and one kid pipes up he was arrested for beating and raping a girl, he's going to juvie. My science teacher Mr. B told me this. He had a student, a girl, who was a hard worker and had a good attitude and was well behaved, but within the span of a few weeks her grades began to drop and she began to act out and one day she blew up at another student. So Mr. B took her outside and asked her that before he wrote her up, is there anything going on that caused the outburst, because she was a good student and was smart, and she just broke down and told him that there was a dead body under her bed. Come to find out her mom had killed her the mom's boyfriend and hid him under the girl's bed and she had been sleeping with a dead body in her room for a couple of weeks. Edit, I tried to grammar, not my forte. Also in regards to the second story, I'm unsure how long the body was under the girl's bed. I was told these stories 6 or 7 years ago. In elementary school. The incident was when this kid named Alex stuffed paper towels into a soap dispenser and lit it on fire in the bathroom. The whole school was evacuated and major shit was to follow. In middle school. The incident was a well-liked kid that most of us thought had it all, decided to commit suicide. It was very devastating to so many of us in the school and really brought home how you never really know what struggles the kid next to you is going through. In high school, the incident was that a semi-popular kid was regularly getting it on with a teacher. It wasn't well known, but was whispered about. A friend of my brother's leveraged this to his advantage, telling the teacher on the day of the final exam, "I think I got an A in this class. Because I know about you and my friend, and I don't think you want anyone else to know, he got the A." Towards the end of the year, while everyone was at lunch, one special ed kid took another special ed kid, with less cognitive function, into the faculty lounge and sexually and physically abused her. She had bruises and bite marks and shit. Apparently similar things have happened to her before at past schools, and the guy had committed similar acts too. Instead of actually doing anything about it, his parents, or maybe the police, just kept moving him from school to school. It was really sad, and early on this year, when word got out about what happened and the news started reporting on it, about half the school decided to wear the girl's favorite colors one day and have a protest, demanding justice for her or something. School got cancelled that day. I haven't heard anything about the incident since, but that's the weirdest thing that's happened to me so far. There were a few, but I think the best/worst one was when the senior class prank, vandalism, was to put weed/grass killer on the football field to create a giant dong. It could be seen on Google Earth for years. Edit: it wasn't a class I was in, just that it was a senior class. Senior prank 2009, someone's put some fish fillets up in the ceiling of the administration building, except they did it before Christmas break instead of summer, so it would rot for a week and then all the school staff would smell it when they got back. It took them months to figure it out since no one came forward to claim their deed. All the while about a third of the entire school student body has been suffering and breathing this dead fish aroma since the administration building is half offices, half arts department and classrooms. It was terrible and the stench still haunts me. Senior pranks aren't even a thing at our school Lamau. We did something similar. We took a water bottle and filled it with a bunch of food from lunch, and milk. This thing was hidden in the library for months and every day one of us would go and get the bottle and let gas out of it so it wouldn't explode. It was the worst smelling thing ever. We threw it into the ceiling and it exploded 2 weeks later. Yeah. The locker beside mine didn't have a lock on it, or any books in it, so I put a bottle of milk in it after lunch one day. About 3 weeks later, that hall was quarantined until they found the bottle. It was pretty funny, especially since my friends all knew I did it and could see that I was basically shitting myself, worried that I'd be caught. I'm a teacher and currently trying to break down a rubber ducky black market ring. I teach high school. I have high schoolers about to graduate and go into college. The same students are buying, selling, and trading rubber ducks. Is this a euphemism, or are people really that concerned about rubber ducks? They really like the ducks. We had 2 big ones. 1. A black kid running for senior class president claimed he received a bunch of racist text messages from someone telling him to drop out, including ones calling him the N-word. This was a predominantly white school. After a series of police investigations, news reports on local TV stations about the incident, and at least 5 different school assemblies on why racism is wrong, we found out over the summer that the kid sent the texts to himself. 2. The foreign languages taught at the school were Spanish, German, French, and Italian. We had exchange programs for every language except Spanish, and no one really knew why. Any teacher we asked would either claim ignorance of the reason or make up some excuse about financial constraints. Senior year, a bunch of us found out from a librarian that the year before our freshman year, some senior knocked up one of the Spanish girls part of the exchange program, and it was this whole scandal that basically ruined the school's reputation and prevented us from having any exchange program in Spain. Hey, reminds me of the election for my senior year. Both guys running were considered part of the popular crowd, but one of them was on the football team, played Magic the Gathering after school, played in band, and had previously acted in a few school plays. He was a well-rounded, well-liked, well-known, and genuinely nice guy who could float between cliques. The other guy was pretty much just known as the narcissistic gay best friend of the slutty popular girls, so he was mostly known around the school for spreading rumors and treating people he didn't know like shit. He claimed racial and homophobic bias through his tears when he lost, which most people laughed at because both of them were half black, and the gay guys at our high school hated the kid because, again, he was a narcissist. Our assistant principal was kind of a douche. To try and humiliate him, we bought a dildo and inscribed it with our school mascot, and that if found please return to Mr. Douche. We then slipped it into the ice machine while in line for lunch. The cacophony was deafening when it was found. A lunchroom worker pulled it out with tongs and held it up and away from her, almost like she was displaying it for all of us to see. A coach who was watching the lunchroom saw the writing, and upon further investigation, he busted up and turned red. Quite the time. He never caught one of us, so Mr. T from Bixby, Oklahoma, F.U. There was a riot. A bunch of kids painted loads of graffiti on the wall of the main building insulting the headmaster and various other teachers, so the school canceled our graduation party. Consequently, once everyone's exams were finished, half the year, i.e. about 100 people, went to various pubs and got drunk. Then some rabble-rousing took place and we all convened on the school to demand our party back. Things were thrown, windows were broken, the gates were shut, the police arrived, it made the newspapers, etc. You can go back over our school's exam statistics and see the percentage of pupils who got good grades in their A-levels, English high school leaving exams. If you scan down the years, there's one very noticeable outlier. We were a bunch of little shits and that was the culmination. Good times. We had a riot too. E-school brought in a new rule that said you weren't allowed to smoke on school premises anymore. That led to a demonstration that quickly turned into a full-on riot. Bins thrown through windows, fire alarms set off, extinguishers let off and several hundred kids running amok through the school buildings. I was 11 at the time and had only been at the school for a month or so, the youngest year group, not moved into the area. The 16-year-old kids were like full-on adults to me, and the whole thing was surreal and awesome. I thought that this was how things rolled at the school, but unfortunately nothing else anywhere close to that happened in the following 5 years. High school teachers started to become obsessed with one of my friends. He started calling her at all hours of the night, completely drunk, asking her to come over, etc. Eventually she had to call the police. Fast forward a couple days later, 3 to 4 police officers roll up on this teacher during one of his classes and arrest him in front of everyone. He was never seen again. When I was a junior, a classmate attempted suicide because his senior girlfriend broke up with him due to her going to college out of state and knowing it wouldn't work out for them. She did it in November because she didn't really see the point of stringing it along for another few months. She got so much hate for it, I felt awful for her. Freshman year, the senior prank was streaking. Only one guy did it when there was supposed to be at least a dozen, and it was not a good look. Midway through sophomore year, we realized our U.S. history teacher's wife had been one of his students and they had started dating when she was 20 and he was still married. A girl stopped running in the middle of P and pulled her tampon out and threw it on the ground. She also refused to pick it up and teachers had to grab it. She was already the weird girl, but God did that make it worse. Someone was writing messages on the walls of the boys' bathrooms in human shit. This went on for months because they were trying to figure out who had been excused from class each time this happened. But that didn't work because it turned out it was 2 people alternating shit smearing duty so the other one would have an alibi. There was a goddamn shit smearing conspiracy, WTF. I went to a Catholic high school that considered itself fairly progressive. To their credit, they were progressive compared to most other Catholic schools. We had sex ed, we studied world religions instead of just Christianity, they supported the LGBTQ community, and whatnot. One of the big things was having a dress code rather than a uniform. We were allowed to have flexibility with what we wore, the trade-off was a ruthless policing of said policy. Overall it was a fair trade. One of the mandates was a girl's skirt could not be more than 4 inches above the top of her knee. One day a beloved teacher approached the super bitchy popular girl and informed her that her skirt was by leaps and bounds too short and she will have to serve detention. Our detentions were just 30 minutes after school and you could do homework. However, she felt slighted and denied it despite one of her butt cheeks basically hanging out. The teacher asserted he was not mistaken and she needs to serve her punishment. She became indignant and began screaming. Finally, out of frustration, the teacher took out a ruler and placed it against her thigh to prove his point. She sued the school for sexual harassment by a teacher along with sexual assault. The school, not wanting any negative press, immediately fired him, hoping it would cause the lawsuit to be dropped. It was not. Here is the kicker: the school actually won, but at this point the teacher had been fired for many months and found a new job. So sad to see a beloved faculty member get taken down by a bitchy girl who didn't want a 30-minute detention. After that, the school approached a faculty member who was very publicly out of the closet, and without being too offensive would fall under the flaming category. This man was from that day forward ruthless with skirt checks and would not only do exactly what the previous teacher did with the ruler, but give serious attitude to any girl who dared try to debate him on the topic, knowing that he was basically bulletproof. Way too many to think of just one, so here are a few favorites. My science teacher beating a student with a chair, yes, a chair, out of frustration. My music teacher dropping acid with a group of students during a field day, and fucking a 16-year-old on the roof of the school. When faculty ended up finding a hit list that the anime kids accidentally left on their lunch table. A classmate accidentally killing themselves. The principal and the drama teacher caught fucking in the main office after school hours. It was one of those see-through plexiglass offices. A janitor found them. Both were married. Last I heard was they each ditched their spouses and got together. It was well known that a certain history teacher would proposition female students for sexual favors in exchange for better grades. I never had him, so I guess I was lucky. I have a few friends that were constantly pestered for nudes, and a mutual friend who actually ended up having an affair with him the summer going into her senior year. Man, we had so many. The army came to talk about career opportunities in the military and brought a tank to show us. When we all went outside to see it, someone had spray-painted Metallica along the side of it. No one was caught. The police came to teach us about drugs and had several drugs in these glass sort of tablet things. 2 of the 5 were stolen. The school was put on lockdown and nobody found them. And they tried. There were dogs and all the lockers were searched. Someone put LSD in a teacher's coffee. She naturally was hysterical and never came back to school. Nobody was caught. A dude found a head and a hand in a cemetery and kept it in his locker at school. It was so nasty and decayed. He was obviously suspended. The police came and rounded up some black students and told them they were going to take them for pizza as a community outreach thingy, but instead put them in a lineup at the police station. That wasn't funny and was a big headline in the news. There are many more, but these are the worst by far. This guy in my class took a milk carton from lunch one day and kept it in his locker for a couple of weeks. Then one day he snuck it back in with the other cartons. We all were discreetly looking around trying to figure out who was going to end up getting it. All of a sudden we see a teacher spit out her milk all over this other teacher and run away gagging. It became this big issue of trying to figure out who did the milk prank, and sure enough, someone ratted him out and he got suspended. That same kid was the first person to think of ordering a laser pointer, remember those? He brought it to class and was shining it in the teacher's mouth while she was talking in front of the class. I was in tears trying so hard not to laugh. Ha, legend. Thank you for watching. Subscribe for getting good luck for the next 10 years. Try it, it really works.